And we're on. Happy Thursday. I have Neuro Coffee in hand. And hey, Dr. Mike,
Yes.
hang on. It is perfect.
Scenario yet, but like people coming off of like ankle sprains, I guess I never really gave much consideration or thought towards like retraining of balance, or like balance, single leg stance.
If you're working with, say, a basketball player, right, there's going to be elements of context there that you know there's going to be positions and activities that he's going to need to be able to access. And so everything becomes graded exposure at some point in time. Everything's multifactorial, right? When you look at an outcome, whether we're looking at changing body composition or raising some performance level, right? It is good to have that foundation so you have some sort of mental reasoning behind why you're going to do something.
I think that looking at people who are like incredible practitioners, that they can overcome like base scientific knowledge due to a tremendous amount of reps and paying attention.
Yeah.
But I think in order to try to move things forward, that it's the understanding of these basic scientific mechanisms that allow you to then come up with reasonable strategies to test.
Like what would be the mechanism to change this? So filtering it through a number of mental models allows you to ask a question, and then that creates the experiment. And then you observe what happens at the end of the experiment. And if I can ask a better question, then I can come up with a better experiment. And then my observations improve based on what I did as an intervention and then what the outcome was.
I think an understanding, like a basic understanding, like physiology and stuff, can help put up bumpers for you. You know what I mean? In terms of like decision making. So, like for example, like I would never try, like if you turn around, you're like, oh, you have to work with this. What's the ideal biological profile for a basketball player? You're like, I don't know, right? So like, what do you turn around and do? It's like you just try to focus on the things that you can see in front of you, like 10-yard sprint or vertical jump or agility t-test, whatever you may choose. And then the biological adaptations will just happen organically underneath the like what you're trying to help fuel. But like I know, for example, like knowing that like a heavy glycolytic workout takes a toll on the system, like that, knowing that from taking like a physiology course might help me come to that, like might help me integrate that sooner than just trial and error and watching and being like, oh shit, I see that every time we do this heavy 400-meter repeats that the next day they're fried for 2 days, right? So right. I think that in some regards it can help put bumpers up and keep you safe.
Right. It provides you a foundation of reasoning, right? And again, because we're working in probabilities, it may help you narrow some probabilities, right? So, but having more models to use and to be able to filter information through allows you to narrow those probabilities much more quickly, right? And that's why we can't negate that element of science, right? Always improving our understanding of that. Like I said, it just helps us make better choices, select better interventions, and then hopefully make a better outcome.
Hey. Well, if you had an 18-year-old walk into your gym and you had a 65-year-old walk into your gym, if you applied the same thing to those people, right, you would not expect the same outcome. But those same people will quickly read a research abstract and say, 2 grams of X compound yielded 7 pounds of fat loss in 12 weeks. Done. That works, right? With paying no respects to who it was, what else they were doing, who that population is. The whole like blood sugar weight loss supplement industry is all based on people with diabetes, and their physiology is woefully different.
But that same topic, right, with people that may have a belief that their diagnostics does not back up, right?
Oh,
but they're still feeling something, right? And
yep.
Like you still have to validate their concerns.
And we've used this phrase incessantly, is meeting them at their story. So you never negate what their belief system is, because the minute you do that, now you've hit a barrier, right? Now your ability to establish rapport and communicate with this person has been negatively affected, right? Because now you basically told them that anything that they believe is invalid.
So it's a great strategy, like the number one rule of improv. And Bill, this was actually the end of Thinking in Bets too, is the idea that you never say no. So if you're
Right.
do improv, you never say no. All you say is you say yes and, right? And I think we, because you basically are accepting whatever they're saying and you're going to add to it. Whereas I think oftentimes our default in the coaching scenario is yes, but, right? So it's like you throw in the yes to like make them feel like you're listening, even though you're not. And then you say, but this is actually what's going on. And training yourself instead to say yes and, like, yes, you might still have arthritis despite everything showing not. And I still think we should look at XYZ.
I fail every day. But when I fail, I don't look at it as the negative. I just look at it as another piece of information. It's like, oh, so the next time I see that and I do this, I have to expect this as one of the probabilities, right? And then so if I do an intervention, let's just say that I had 10 similar situations, and 7 out of those 10, I was considering myself successful because I got the result that I want, and then 30% I didn't. I have to respect that 30%. But now I'm weighing it, and I'm like saying, okay, most of the time when I do this, this is actually a good choice, so I'm going to do this. That's how you make the good decision. It's a process. So you might not get the outcome that you wanted, but it was the right thing to do. Because you start patting yourself on the back when you're successful, and then you start beating yourself up when you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one is helpful, right? And then you're still left with whatever outcome that you had. So you just make the next logical step, right? You use your decision-making process, and that evolves over time as well. So you get better at making decisions because you develop the process of making the decision, but you're still going to have variable outcomes because you're dealing with complexity. There's multiple answers to every question in a complex situation. This is a really deep conversation for a Thursday morning, fellas.